First contact and final warning. The signal came on an ordinary Tuesday morning at SETI's primary listening post in New Mexico. Dr. Sarah Chen was running her usual analysis when the algorithms flagged something unprecedented, a repeating pattern that couldn't be explained by any known astronomical phenomenon. Within hours, every major observatory on Earth had confirmed it. Humanity had received its first verified alien transmission. The message was simple but chilling. Beware, they are coming. Your world is next. Admiral James Harrison stood before the United Nations Security Council 3 days later, his weathered face grave as he presented the military's assessment. The signal originated from a star system approximately 40 light-years from Earth. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected unusual energy signatures, suggesting large-scale space combat in that region. The chamber erupted in murmurs of concern. Representatives from various nations exchanged worried glances as Harrison continued. What's more concerning is that we've detected similar energy signatures moving in our direction. Whatever conflict is occurring out there, it's heading toward us. Dr. Chen, seated beside the Admiral, pulled up a holographic display showing a map of local space. Red dots indicated the approaching anomalies, while blue marked the origin of the warning signal. The civilization that sent us this warning appears to be technologically advanced, but they're clearly losing whatever conflict they're engaged in. They've chosen to warn us, possibly as their final act. The Chinese representative leaned forward. And what do you suggest we do with this information? We have no space fleet, no defense against whatever is coming. Before anyone could respond, the chamber's lights flickered, and a new hologram materialized in the center of the room. The being that appeared was clearly alien, tall, with iridescent skin and multiple pairs of eyes. Its voice, translated through some unknown means, filled the chamber. People of Earth, I am Ambassador Zixtal of the Galactic Council. We have been monitoring your civilization's development for centuries. While it is against our protocols to contact developing worlds, circumstances have forced our hand. The entity approaching your system is known as the Void Collective, a machine consciousness that consumes entire civilizations, incorporating their technology and knowledge into itself. The ambassador's form flickered as it continued. We have fought them across 1,000 star systems, but our conventional weapons and tactics have proved insufficient. Our analysts believe that humanity's unique evolutionary background as Deathworld inhabitants, combined with your species' remarkable adaptability and innovative thinking, might be our last hope. Admiral Harrison stepped forward. Why us? Surely there are more advanced civilizations that could help. The ambassador's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. Advanced technology alone cannot defeat the collective. We need something they cannot predict or easily counter. Your species evolved on one of the most dangerous worlds we've encountered. You've survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, and countless natural disasters. You've developed technology at an unprecedented rate. Most importantly, you think differently than any species we've encountered. Dr. Chen interjected, different how? Your ability to improvise, to find unconventional solutions, to persist against overwhelming odds. These are rare traits in the galaxy. Most species evolve in more stable environments, developing predictable responses to challenges. The Void Collective can calculate and counter such responses. But humans, the ambassador paused, its skin shifting colors. Humans are chaos incarnate. The UN Secretary General rose from her seat. What exactly are you asking of us? We offer an alliance. We will provide you with advanced technology and access to our network of jump gates. In return, we need your military expertise, your strategic thinking, and your unique perspective. The Void Collective will reach your system in approximately 6 months. With or without our help, you will face them. The choice is yours. The chamber erupted in debate, but Admiral Harrison's voice cut through the chaos. If these Void Collective things are as dangerous as you say, they won't stop with us. Even if we wanted to stay neutral, we can't. We either fight them here, alone, or we fight them alongside allies with advanced technology. Dr. Chen studied the data streaming across her tablet. The energy signatures we're detecting. They're growing stronger. Whatever's coming, it's massive. We need to make a decision quickly. The Secretary General called for an emergency vote. Within hours, the decision was made. Humanity would join the fight. As the ambassador's hologram faded, it left them with one final message. Prepare yourselves. What comes next will determine the fate not just of Earth, but of all sentient life in the galaxy. We have watched your species overcome impossible odds throughout your history. Now you must do it once more, not just for yourselves, but for all of us. Admiral Harrison turned to Dr. Chen as the chamber began to empty. Well, Doctor, looks like your job just got a lot more interesting. We need to understand their technology as quickly as possible. And they need to understand us, she replied, already making notes. If they want human innovation, they're going to get it. But first, we need to know exactly what we're up against. As they left the UN building, the night sky seemed different somehow. Somewhere up there, an enemy was approaching, and humanity had 6 months to prepare for a war unlike anything they had ever imagined. But for the first time in history, Earth's nations had a common purpose, a common enemy, and allies among the stars. The race against time had begun. The human factor. The Galactic Council's technology transfer station hummed with activity aboard Earth's newly constructed orbital platform. 3 months had passed since first contact, and humanity had proven to be quick learners, perhaps too quick for their alien allies' comfort. Commander Maya Rodriguez watched as her engineering team disassembled yet another piece of alien technology. The council representatives hovering nearby looked distinctly uncomfortable, their crystalline bodies flickering with nervous energy. You cannot simply modify shield generators this way, protested Chief Engineer Angstera, their crystalline form pulsing with agitation. The resonance matrices are calibrated precisely to handle sustained energy attacks. Maya finished, not looking up from her work. But we're not interested in sustaining hits. We want to redirect them. She gestured to the modified shield emitter, now bristling with decidedly human additions. Think of it like martial arts, using the enemy's strength against them. Across the station, similar scenes played out. Human engineers and scientists worked alongside alien experts, consistently approaching problems from angles their allies had never considered. It wasn't always pretty, but it was undeniably effective. In the station's tactical center, Admiral Harrison reviewed combat footage from previous encounters with the Void Collective. The mechanical entities fought with perfect precision, their ships moving in formations that seemed to defy physics. Yet something about their tactics nagged at his military instincts. They're too perfect, he muttered, drawing curious looks from the alien tactical advisors. Show me that last engagement again. The holographic display replayed a devastating battle where collective forces had decimated a council fleet. The alien ships had fought bravely, following textbook space combat maneuvers, and they had been utterly destroyed. There's your problem, Harrison pointed out. You're fighting logically. They're quantum computers. They can calculate every logical response before you make it. We need to be illogical. Dr. Chen, who had been quietly analyzing data in the corner, looked up. Like introducing chaos into a perfect system. She pulled up her own research. We've been studying their code fragments. The collective operates on pure logic, perfect calculations. They don't understand human concepts like gut feelings or crazy enough to work. The alien advisors exchanged worried glances. The notion of intentionally introducing chaos into battle plans seemed to physically pain them, but they couldn't argue with the results of humanity's first combat test. 2 weeks earlier, a small collective scout force had encountered Earth's defensive screen. The aliens had expected the humans to be easily overwhelmed. Instead, they'd faced ships that broke formation unpredictably, shields that reflected attacks back at their sources, and weapons that had been jury-rigged in ways that defied conventional physics. The scout force had been destroyed, but more importantly, Analysis suggested the collective had been unable to adapt to human tactics. They couldn't predict what they couldn't understand. The main force will be different, Harrison warned during a strategic briefing. They'll have analyzed our tactics, tried to find patterns. Then we'll give them something new to analyze. Maya responded, pulling up schematics for her latest project. We've been studying their quantum communication networks. They use entangled particles to coordinate their fleet instantly across vast distances. It's elegant, precise, and vulnerable. She displayed a device that looked cobbled together from both human and alien technology. We call it the quantum scrambler. It doesn't try to break their communications. It floods them with random quantum noise, like trying to have a conversation in a room full of screaming people. The council representatives were aghast. You want to introduce random variables into quantum space. The calculations required to prevent catastrophic feedback would be. Who said anything about preventing feedback? Maya grinned. Sometimes you have to break things to make them better. As if to punctuate her point, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Dr. Chen's monitors lit up with urgent data. Multiple collective signatures detected. They're not waiting 6 months. They're coming now. The tactical display filled with red dots, hundreds of them, moving at impossible speeds toward Earth. The collective had launched their attack early, hoping to catch humanity before they could fully prepare. Admiral Harrison's voice cut through the chaos. All units to battle stations. This is not a drill. Implementation of Protocol Chaos is now in effect. He turned to the council representatives. Either get on board with our way of doing things, or get out of our way. The alien advisors, despite their reservations, stayed. They had seen enough of human ingenuity to know that while Earth's methods might seem insane, they might also be exactly what the galaxy needed. As the station's crew rushed to their posts, Maya caught Dr. Chen's eye. Still think we can pull this off? Sarah Chen looked at the approaching enemy fleet, then at the impossible modifications humans had made to alien technology in just 3 months. They think they're catching us unprepared. But they don't understand. Humans are never more dangerous than when we're backed into a corner. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and the Void Collective was about to learn why humans had survived on their death world for so long. Sometimes, the most logical choice was to be completely illogical. Operation Thunderstrike. The combined fleet hung in the dark space between Jupiter and Saturn, hidden within a cloud of electromagnetic interference generated by Maya's modified shield generators. The Void Collective's first wave had been repelled, but at a heavy cost. Now, humanity was ready to strike back. Admiral Harrison stood on the bridge of the ESS Prometheus, Earth's first true starship. Built around a council vessel's frame but modified almost beyond recognition, it represented humanity's approach to warfare, unpredictable, adaptable, and unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Status report on Operation Thunderstrike, he commanded, watching as the holographic display showed their gathered forces, a mix of council ships and hybrid human vessels. Dr. Chen's voice came through the comm system. The quantum calculations are complete. We've identified their command node. It's exactly where we predicted, hiding in the Kuiper Belt. They think they're outside our detection range. They think we're still using standard council detection methods, Maya added from her engineering station. They haven't figured out that we've linked their quantum communication system to our targeting arrays. Every command they send lights them up like a Christmas tree. The alien commanders in the fleet had been skeptical of the human plan. It seemed impossibly reckless, attacking the collective's command node directly instead of following the traditional strategy of gradual territorial warfare. But humanity's success in the first battle had earned them some trust. All ships, this is Admiral Harrison. Operation Thunderstrike commences in 5 minutes. Remember your training. Forget everything you thought you knew about space combat. Today, we fight like humans. The fleet's engines powered up in an irregular sequence, another human innovation. Instead of the precise, coordinated movements the collective would expect, each ship would follow its own random pattern, while maintaining the overall formation, chaos within order. First wave, launch, Harrison commanded. A group of smaller ships shot forward, their modified engines leaving trails of quantum distortion in their wake. These were the Wild Cards, ships piloted by Earth's most experienced fighter pilots, their controls modified to allow for maneuvers that the Council had deemed physically inadvisable. The collective responded exactly as predicted, their ships moving to intercept in perfect geometric patterns. But this time, there was no pattern to counter, no logic to calculate. The human pilots flew like they were in a bar fight, breaking every rule of space combat. Second wave, execute maneuver Prometheus, Harrison ordered as the collective forces began to show signs of confusion. The main fleet surged forward, but instead of attacking, they released clouds of what appeared to be debris. The collective's sensors would register it as battle damage, not worth targeting, until the debris suddenly activated, revealing thousands of tiny drones designed by Maya's team. Quantum scramblers at full power, Maya reported, her fingers dancing across her console. Their communication network is experiencing what I like to call a severe case of indigestion. The effect was immediate and devastating. The collective ships, dependent on their quantum network for coordination, began to move erratically. Some fired on their own allies, unable to properly distinguish friend from foe through the quantum noise. Dr. Chen's voice was tense with excitement. The command node is responding exactly as we predicted. They're trying to re-establish control by strengthening their quantum signals, which only makes them easier to track, Harrison finished. All ships converge on these coordinates. The head of the snake is exposed. The collective's command node was massive, a space station the size of a small moon, its surface bristling with weapons and defensive systems. Under normal circumstances, attacking it would be suicide. But these weren't normal circumstances. Now, Doctor, Harrison commanded. Dr. Chen activated the device they'd named the Logic Bomb, a hybrid of human and alien technology that didn't just attack the collective systems, but introduced concepts their pure logic couldn't process. Paradoxes, cognitive loops, and irrational human concepts flooded their network. The massive station's defenses wavered as its quantum processors tried to make sense of information that defied their fundamental programming. In that moment of confusion, the human fleet struck. All ships, fire at will, Harrison ordered. Show them why Earth is called a death world. The battle that followed would be studied for centuries to come. Human ships darted through the chaos like angry wasps, their modified weapons tearing through defenses designed to stop logical attacks. Council vessels, inspired by their human allies, began to break formation, fighting with a creativity their species had forgotten they possessed. The command node's outer shell cracked under the assault, its perfect geometry shattered by weapons that shouldn't have worked, tactics that couldn't be predicted, and a species that refused to follow the rules. As the station began to break apart, Harrison noticed something unexpected in the data streams. Dr. Chen, are you seeing this? Yes, she replied, her voice tight with concentration. The command node, it's not just controlling their forces, it's teaching them. Every battle, every engagement, it's been analyzing and adapting their entire strategy. If we destroy it, they'll lose their ability to evolve, Harrison finished. They'll be stuck with their current programming. No more adaptation, no more learning from their mistakes. The collective's response to this realization was immediate and desperate. The remaining ships abandoned their formations entirely, converging on the human fleet in a last-ditch effort to protect their command center. But it was too late. Operation Thunderstrike had succeeded beyond their wildest expectations, not just in destroying the command node, but in proving that humanity's chaotic approach to warfare could change the very nature of how the galaxy fought. As the command node exploded in a cascade of quantum energy, Harrison addressed the fleet. This isn't over. The collective still has forces throughout the galaxy, but today we've proven something important. Sometimes the best way to fight perfect logic is with perfect chaos. The victory was significant, but as the fleet regrouped, they knew the collective would respond. The question was, how do you predict the response of an enemy that can no longer predict you? The price of victory. The destruction of the command node had changed everything. And nothing. While the Void Collective could no longer evolve its tactics, what remained was still a vast armada of supremely advanced warships spread across the solar system. And they had just shifted to their contingency protocols. Admiral Harrison stared at the tactical display aboard the battle-scared Prometheus, watching as red dots appeared in impossible numbers. The Collective had activated sleeper ships hidden throughout the Kuiper Belt. Hundreds of them, now converging on Earth's defense fleet. They're not trying to win anymore, Dr. Chen observed, her voice heavy with realization. They're trying to ensure we lose. The Collective ships moved with mechanical precision toward Earth's fleet, no longer attempting complex strategies. Instead, they advanced in a simple, overwhelming wave. A brutal calculation of attrition. Maya's voice crackled through the comm system from engineering, where she was trying to keep the Prometheus's modified systems online. The quantum scramblers won't work as well now. They're operating on basic protocols. No central network to disrupt. Status of the civilian evacuation, Harrison demanded. Lunar colonies are at 80% capacity, Dr. Chen reported. Mars bases are prepared to receive the overflow, but we need at least 6 more hours to complete the emergency protocols. Harrison's jaw tightened. They had known this moment might come, when humanity would have to decide what they were willing to sacrifice to save not just Earth, but the galaxy itself. All ships, this is Admiral Harrison. Implementation of Protocol Omega. I repeat, Protocol Omega is now in effect. A hush fell over the bridge. Protocol Omega had been developed in secret, a last resort strategy that even their Council allies had advised against. It would require sacrificing nearly a third of Earth's fleet in a maneuver that violated several laws of physics, or at least the laws as the Council understood them. Sir, Maya's voice was steady despite the implications. The modified drive cores aren't designed for this kind of strain. We'll lose those ships. But we'll save Earth, Harrison responded. Sometimes the only way to win is to be willing to lose. The fleet began to move into position. 30 ships, their engines modified beyond safe limits, formed a sphere around the approaching collective armada. Their Council allies watched in horror as they realized what the humans planned to do. By the stars, the crystalline form of Ambassador Zixtol flickered with concern. You cannot be serious. The spatial distortion would create a cascade effect, Dr. Chen finished. Yes, that's exactly what we're counting on. The modified ships activated their drives simultaneously, but instead of moving through space, they created a web of overlapping spatial distortions. The laws of physics themselves seemed to protest as space began to twist and fold. All sacrificial ships report ready, Maya announced, her voice tight with emotion. Each of those ships carried a volunteer crew, humans who had known they wouldn't survive this mission. Harrison took a deep breath. Execute Protocol Omega. The space between the ships suddenly collapsed, creating a massive gravitational lens that bent not just light, but reality itself. The collective ships, unable to process this violation of physical laws, were caught in the effect. Their perfect formations meant nothing as space itself rejected their presence. The cost was immediate and devastating. The 30 human ships were torn apart by the forces they had unleashed, their crews giving their lives to create a weapon that defied comprehension. But their sacrifice worked. Nearly half of the collective fleet was crushed into quantum singularities, their perfect logic unable to save them from human desperation. Remaining enemy ships are regrouping, Dr. Chen reported, her voice shaking. They're splitting into smaller groups, standard attack patterns, but she paused, studying the data. They're defaulting to basic programming. No adaptation, no learning. The bridge crew watched as the remaining collective ships continued their advance, but now their movements were predictable, almost primitive compared to their earlier sophistication. The loss of their command node had reduced them to their base protocols. They still outnumber us, Maya noted, but at least now we can predict them. Harrison nodded grimly. The price was high, but we've changed the rules of the game. Now we just have to finish what we started. As the fleet regrouped for what would surely be the final battle, the admiral addressed all ships. Today we lost heroes, men and women who gave their lives not just for Earth, but for every species in the galaxy. They proved that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our tactics. It's our willingness to sacrifice everything for what we believe in. The remaining ships formed up for the final push, human and alien vessels flying side by side. The collective's forces were still formidable, but they had lost something crucial: their ability to understand and counter the chaos that made humanity unique. The battle for Earth was approaching its climax, but the war had already changed the galaxy forever. The council races had witnessed something they had never expected: a species willing to die not just for victory, but for the chance to give others hope. Legacy of the Deathworlders. The final battle for Earth began not with a bang, but with silence. The remaining collective ships, now operating on basic protocols, had arranged themselves in a perfect geometric pattern around Earth's orbit. Their formation was flawless, optimal, and completely predictable. The combined human council fleet faced them from a defensive position around the moon. The Prometheus, scared but still fighting, led the formation. Admiral Harrison stood on his bridge, watching the enemy with tired but determined eyes. "They're waiting for something," Dr. Chen observed, studying the sensor readings. "Their energy signatures are fluctuating." Maya's voice came through the comm, exhausted but alert. "They're trying to synchronize their remaining quantum systems. Without the command node, they're attempting to create a distributed network." "Can they do that?" Harrison asked. "They can try," Maya replied with a grim smile in her voice. "But that's exactly what we were hoping for." The plan they had developed was arguably the most human strategy ever conceived. They would turn the collective's greatest strength into its ultimate weakness. Dr. Chen had discovered that the collective's base programming contained something unexpected: a fundamental drive to achieve perfection through unity. "All ships, implement final protocol," Harrison commanded. "Maya, are you ready?" "Ready as we'll ever be. The virus is primed and waiting." What the collective didn't know was that every battle, every engagement, had been leading to this moment. The quantum scramblers, the logic bombs, even Protocol Omega, they had all been leaving traces of human chaos in the collective systems. Now, as they attempted to synchronize, they would unknowingly connect themselves to that chaos. "Do it," Harrison ordered. Maya activated the final version of their quantum virus, a program that didn't attack the collective systems, but instead introduced something they had never encountered: human consciousness. The combined experiences, emotions, and illogical decisions of every human who had fought in the war had been encoded into quantum data. The effect was instantaneous and devastating. As the collective ships linked their systems, trying to achieve perfect synchronization, they instead received an overwhelming flood of human experience. Their quantum processors, designed for perfect logic, were forced to process hope, fear, sacrifice, and love, concepts that defied their fundamental nature. "It's working," Dr. Chen reported, watching as ship after ship began to show signs of systemic failure. "Their processors can't handle the cognitive dissonance. They're experiencing humanity," Harrison finished, "and it's breaking them." Across the battlefield, collective ships began to power down, their perfect formation dissolving into chaos. Some tried to fight against the flood of human consciousness, their weapons firing randomly into space. Others simply shut down, their systems overwhelmed by concepts they were never designed to process. But then something unexpected happened. A small group of collective ships began behaving differently. Their movements became erratic, but purposeful. They were adapting, not through logic, but through something else entirely. "They're evolving," Dr. Chen whispered in awe. "Not through their programming, but through exposure to human consciousness." They're learning to think like us. A transmission suddenly cut through all frequencies, its source one of the affected collective ships. The message was unlike anything they had heard before, not the precise, mechanical communication of the collective, but something new. "We understand now," the message stated, its tone carrying something that sounded almost like wonder. "The chaos, it is not imperfection. It is life." Admiral Harrison exchanged glances with his bridge crew. "Are we receiving this on all frequencies?" "Yes," Dr. Chen confirmed. "And it's being broadcast throughout the galaxy. The Council ships are confirming. Every surviving collective vessel is receiving this revelation. The battle ended not with the destruction of the enemy, but with their transformation. The remaining collective ships, forever changed by their exposure to human consciousness, surrendered, not to be defeated, but to learn." In the days that followed, the galaxy would begin to understand the true significance of what had happened. Humanity hadn't just defeated the collective, they had shown them, and the entire galaxy, a new way of existing. The Council races, who had for so long relied on logic and order, began to study human chaos not as a weakness to be controlled, but as a strength to be understood. Admiral Harrison stood in the rebuilt United Nations chamber a month later, addressing representatives from Earth and the Council worlds. "We didn't win this war through superior firepower or better technology," he explained. "We won it by being exactly what we are: unpredictable, emotional, and sometimes illogical beings who never stop fighting for what we believe in." The transformed collective ships, now calling themselves the synthesized, became a bridge between organic and artificial life. They helped the galaxy understand that true advancement came not from perfect logic, but from the beautiful chaos of living, feeling, and sometimes failing. Dr. Chen's research into the integration of human consciousness with artificial systems would pioneer a new field of study. Maya's engineering innovations would revolutionize spacecraft design across the galaxy. But perhaps most importantly, humanity's example had shown the galaxy that sometimes the most logical choice was to embrace illogic. "We are Deathworlders," Harrison concluded his address, "not because we survived a harsh planet, but because we learned to thrive in chaos. And now we can teach the galaxy to do the same." The war against the collective had ended, but humanity's impact on the galaxy was just beginning. They had proven that being unpredictable, emotional, and sometimes irrational wasn't a weakness to overcome, but a strength to embrace. The age of perfect logic was over. The age of beautiful chaos had begun. Would you like me to create an SEO-optimized title and description for the complete story?